Hey everyone, it's the Doom Dog. I don't know how long this video is going to be. I have not planned this out. I have not scripted it or anything. I was just recently talking to a friend of mine and I got the idea to make this video. It's something I wanted to talk about. So, I was recently talking to my friend Indy Timmy. Link in the description below to his channel, you should go follow him. He was considering doing a month where he posted videos about games based off of movies and the rare ones that are actually good. We got talking about that, and I suggested X-Men Origins Wolverine to him, which, if you don't know, is a game that is flat out better in every single conceivable way than the movie that it's based off of. It is a brutal and bloody, as you would want from Wolverine, game that has God of War-like combat. It is awesome, and it's from Raven, and I cannot recommend it highly enough if you've never played it before. But he also mentioned that he was going to do Peter Jackson's King Kong, the game based off of the movie of the same name, his remake of King Kong. And I remember when this came out. Do you guys remember when this came out? Primarily, I remember primarily the Xbox 360 version. They had the demo in all the stores because graphically it was just mind-blowing at the time. It was absolutely gorgeous. But I never played anything outside of that demo. I never actually beat it. And he got me thinking, and I went and looked these up, only to discover that neither game is on any digital storefront. It's not on GOG, it's not on Steam or anything like that, which got me thinking, are they abandonware? And I looked them up there, and lo and behold, yes, both games are abandonware. And the more I dug into the Peter Jackson's King Kong game, the more baffled I became. It is a rabbit hole, and I wanted to talk about that here on the channel in just a general discussion video. I have not done one of these in a long fucking time. I thought it would be fun. And before I begin, I don't own any copy of this game. So what you're seeing here is all emulated footage. So it is not a 100% accurate representation of how it will look on the console. But it is an emulated version of that. So the initial release of King Kong was on consoles, and it was on the 6th gen consoles. PlayStation 2, GameCube, and Xbox. And these versions are very, very similar in how they look. If I was to venture a guess, I'd say they probably rank Xbox as the best looking, with GameCube in the middle and PlayStation 2 being the worst. But being a cross-platform game from that generation, there's not going to be a huge noticeable difference between the three versions of the game. It's going to be a pretty damn good looking game regardless. The team behind it actually did a whole lot of really cool things for this game. I mean, there's God rays, there's all kinds of lighting and fog effects and everything, and minimal HUD, if any at all, to immerse you fully into the game world. It's really, really cool. The other version of the game was the Xbox 360 version. This was a launch title for the Xbox 360, and it was a good example of what the new generation of consoles would be able to bring to the table in terms of graphics over the previous generation. It had higher resolution textures, I believe it had higher poly models, and I know it had better effects. It had better lighting, it had better rain effects, it had better fog effects, things like that. I remember going into GameStop, and they had the Xbox 360 kiosk set up with a demo of this game running. And seeing how insanely gorgeous it was at the time blew my fucking mind back in the day. I had no fucking clue what I was doing in terms of actually playing the fucking thing, and I ran myself out of ammo real quick trying to fire at the T-Rex that you can't kill because Kong is the one that kills it. But I remember being blown away before I got eaten by the fucking thing. I didn't know that you could pick up spears or bombs and throw them at enemies to distract them. I had no fucking clue what I was doing. That's the point. But yeah, because this had a version on the PlayStation 2, GameCube, and Xbox, this was a prime example of what the new generation of consoles were capable of. It was beautiful. And it is really uncommon that a game based off of a movie winds up being good. So it's kind of a minor miracle that this one wound up being great. So what happened that this wound up being great? Well, Peter Jackson himself was heavily involved in it. He apparently is a gamer. He said he had played through Beyond Good and Evil and had been really impressed with that and said, I want this team to work on the game for my remake of King Kong. And he approached Ubisoft and got the team to work on it. And they worked closely with Jackson on this. And they had all kinds of concept art and access to the actors and the script and set designs and the sets themselves and everything they could get their hands on. They had access to during the filming process, and that really, really helped this game. This game kicks off about an hour into the film when they get to Skull Island, which is probably for the better, and they expand on what happens on Skull Island to get a 6 or so hour game out of it, and for the most part, what they do here is really, really cool. You have guns that you will be able to get more ammo for and reload. Jack, the character you control, will shout out how much ammo he's got.
We can't just leave him there.
So you don't have to have an on-screen HUD to tell you how many clips you have left or anything like that. He'll just shout out like, 2 magazines on backup, or something along those lines. So you never get yourself taken out of the experience. And you constantly got companion characters with you from the movie that have quite a bit of dialogue throughout this game that actually kind of expands on their personalities that was shown in the movie itself, which is really, again, really, really cool. There are 2 endings to this game, actually, which is also really nice. You got the main ending, of course, where Kong falls off the Empire State Building, and you had like 100 years to watch the original fucking King Kong. Don't at me about spoilers, because you've had literally your entire life to watch that fucking movie. But there's also an alternate ending where they wind up taking Kong back to the island, which is a really nice touch, and it includes both of them depending upon, and you can get it depending upon your actions in the final level, things like that. It's really cool. What really got me with this rabbit hole thing is the PC version of this. You would think that in typical fashion there would only be one PC version of the game, and you would be wrong. The one that was released on store shelves is called the Signature Edition. This is the one that you could get physical copies of on disc. And you want to go on eBay, I'm sure you can find them there, wherever. And this version, you would think, being a PC version, would take the assets from the better looking version of the game for the Xbox 360.
Oh, God.
But it doesn't.
We can't just leave him
It
there.
takes the assets for the PlayStation 2 version of the game. The end result is the Xbox 360 version of King Kong looks better than the standard PC version. This also has a nasty piece of work in terms of a DRM called Star Force. This is another example of why you should support GOG. There is no DRM or GOG, so anything like this can't happen. But what Star Force apparently can do is screw up your whole Windows installation, screw up your whole fucking hard drive. And in his video on it, Reykjavik actually talks about this happening to him with a physical release of the PC version. I will leave a link in the description below so that you can watch this. The end result of this is that do not take the PC version, the physical release PC version, and try to install it on a modern system. Just don't run that risk. If you have it and you want to revisit it, I would recommend pirating it. And I'm being serious, because the pirated version of the Signature Edition has the DRM ripped out. So you don't have to worry about it screwing up your hard drive. You just install it and it should work. You may be asking yourself, what's the other version? The other version is an early example of digital distribution, actually.
Are you hurt?
Through an Amazon download, you could get a version of this game that was called the Gamers Edition. This version does use the higher quality assets from the Xbox 360 version. So combine that with higher resolutions and higher frame rates than the Xbox 360 version is capable of, and you get an objectively better looking and playing version of the game. This is the best it can look and can play. But even this version has a caveat, because this version has black bars. It is presented in letterbox widescreen. I don't know why. I have no clue why they would do this, because the Signature Edition of this has proper widescreen. So why doesn't this version? I don't know. But it is the best looking version of the game. You can obviously run it at 60 FPS. So don't try to run it any higher than that, because that can mess with the physics in game. But you can run it at 60 FPS and it works just fine. There is a fan patch that is supposed to get rid of the black bars and let it run in proper widescreen. And I know other people have gotten this fan patch to work just fine. I haven't. I could not get it to work for the life of me. I don't know why. That's part of why you're seeing the black bars. That I wanted to show you that yes, it really is there when you put it in widescreen mode. I don't know why. Now, the console versions for the 6th gen do have a widescreen option, but it's not a real widescrreen option. It is the kind of widescreen they would do where they would chop off the top and bottom of the picture to fake widescreen, like they did with the Jak and Daxter, which I recently reviewed. So you might want to run the console version in full screen instead of widescreen if that's what you want to play it on. The Xbox 360 version obviously is in proper widescreen, and it is backwards compatible on the Xbox One and the Xbox Series. And the Xbox One X and the Xbox Series X will run it in 4K, and it smooths out the frame rate, so you're getting a smooth, consistent 30 if you're playing it on one of those consoles. It's nice, it works well, and it is not available on digital distribution. You can only play it this way if you have the physical disc, which means you Xbox Series S owners are shit out of luck on this one. Sorry about that, y'all. Now, there is one other version that I wanted to talk about this one, and that is the PlayStation Portable version. This one is weird, because it starts off exactly like every other version of the game. You get lowered down with the boat, and you row to shore, and a rock knocks the boat over, and you wash up on shore. But once you wash up on shore, everything changes. You're in the same location that you start off for every other version of the game, but your companion characters aren't there. You are not woken up by Anne. You're not getting your gun from anybody. You're not doing anything like that. You just start with your weapon, and you go. And there's large chunks of it missing as well. It is very strange and provides a very different experience because you're all alone. Kind of makes it scarier in that sense. So if you want that unique experience for it, you can play this version, but I'll tell you this right now. The PlayStation Portable only has one analog nub. So, in order to look and aim, you have to do it with the face buttons. The square, circle, triangle, and X. And that takes a lot of getting used to say the least. It is not exactly the best experience in the world playing it that way. But yeah, this was quite the rabbit hole, learning about all of this. My recommendation, if you want to go back and play this, is get the Abandonware version of the Gamer Edition and play that. If you don't want the black bars, you can get the Signature Edition. But again, do not install it from disk. Get the pirated version that has the DRM ripped out. That's what you'll want to do. Otherwise, you will run the risk of messing up your hard drive, as previously mentioned. That is the easiest way to go about getting this, although it is not too expensive to get it for any of the consoles. From what I have heard, though, you definitely want to avoid the Nintendo DS version. Yes, there is a DS version. No, I haven't played it. I've heard it's terrible. But it is not too much. I don't think it'll run you more than $20, $25 to get any of the console ports. And again, if you have an Xbox One or an Xbox Series with the physical drive, then you can get the Xbox 360 version and play arguably the best version of the game. It runs at 30 FPS, but as long as you're fine with that, it's a smooth 30, and it'll run at 4K, and it'll look gorgeous and play very well. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. This is just something I wanted to talk about off the cuff. I haven't done a video like this where I just kind of ramble about a specific subject in a long time. This interested me, and this was something I wanted to talk about. So if you guys could like, comment, and subscribe, that would help me out a lot. Ring the bell to make sure you get future updates from this channel, future uploads in your inbox, and share this video. That would help me out a lot as well, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Bye bye everybody. Boondog out.